Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. Ren here, and today is the second episode of my Hallowed Cast series. I'm very excited to have my good friend Vincalis on to talk about all things Star Wars, Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, and our ideal video game for the series. But if you're a fan of RPGs and general discussions about the games we all know and love, then you've definitely found a friend in this channel. I post at least once a week on topics from pickup videos, new releases, to just talking about the games that have reached hallowed status in my heart. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get into today's episode. Before we start today's episode, I do want to give a spoiler warning for Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. If you haven't watched that, please go and do so, and then come back so we can chat about it. Thanks again, guys. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm very excited for this second episode of our Hallowed Cast series. And today it's all going to be about Star Wars.
That's it.
The hype is through the galaxy.
The highs, the lows.
And everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Today I am joined by my very good friend, Vincalis.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, he is my resident go-to Star Wars nerd.
Yeah. Chewing buddy. I think we do a lot of gumming over a lot of things, right?
Oh, we're gumming it. So, as we kind of get into this, I do want, if you could, just let everybody know what kind of video games you're into.
Yes, absolutely. I think you and I have the Venn diagram has a lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
I think where we diverge a little bit, because I don't want to talk too much about stuff that you enjoy yourself that I also enjoy. I really like MOBAs. I've played kind of the full gambit of most of them. Some particular favorites of mine were Paragon, R.I.P.
It was a blood sacrifice.
It was necessary to pave the brutal way for Fortnite, dude.
Someone had to go.
Someone had to pay that price. Yeah, that Thanos snap, it was Paragon. So I like battle royales, I like MOBAs. I do like PvP games. I'm a bit of a critical casual, if I had to describe myself as something. But I'm fairly competent when it comes to MOBAs. Some shooters I really enjoy Destiny. And I think everything else you and I have a lot in common. I don't play as much of the Dark Souls type stuff, but right now, current things I'm dominating is Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I don't like to brag,
but
I still
need to get in on that.
It's on story mode, so let's be realistic here. I gave up. I was on Jedi Master, and I kept dying.
It's a pretty
dying.
big swing.
It is. Yeah. Well, okay. To be totally honest,
you burned it.
I put it on Jedi Knight, and I still died one time, and I was like, I'm done. So I put it on story mode. I'm playing through that one, and then Smite's been kind of my lover of MOBAs. That's my steady love. So I always go back to that one. Playing
I've heard
that.
so many good things.
It's pretty solid. I think the team that work on it, they do a good job. Yeah. And then also playing Warzone. So that's all I'm doing right now.
For sure.
So that's on the docket for right now for games. That's what I'm kind of into.
Oh yeah, for sure. And those are really good picks. Now I have dabbled in the past. Obviously, I was a big MMO RPG player, which is a little bit of multiplayer. So,
a bit. Yeah. Absolutely. It's got that community effect, you know?
But I've never really been one for the battle royales. Or I did play Heroes of the Storm, which I had a lot of fun with.
That's a fair comparison.
Yeah, but I do need to check out Smite. But
it's a solid genre of its own.
Oh yeah,
you know?
For sure. Now, I do want to ask you, obviously this episode's about Star Wars history. I mean, Star Wars, but what's your history with Star Wars?
Yeah, so I started, I think, similar to your age, very young. I mean, young enough, and this I take pride in this, and I really enjoy this. Young enough to, I don't even know what year it was, but very, very young. And I think I have the iconic images in my head of the VHS Special Edition trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, right?
Good
and I really loved getting into those movies at that age period, and I always fondly look back at particularly the introductory commentaries from George Lucas, right? Those were always very, very special to me. So I would say, man, 5 at the latest, maybe 7, something like that.
So what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
There it is right there. First kid. Which kid do you pick, right? Yeah. So
one must rise to the top.
I would go with 6. And,
okay.
Yeah, and I think there's not any particular reason. I think I'd actually acknowledge that I think 5 is probably the better movie. I think that 6 is my favorite because I like the feels of like the wrapping on the, you know what I mean? It's a tight package. I like the closure and that scene of R2-D2 shooting up, that iconic, the lightsaber up in the air, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just perfect. I like Luke's outfit. Dude, strong development of characters there. And the confidence you see in Luke as a Jedi.
See, I'm so jealous of everybody who is looking at that scene with just like happiness. Because as a hardcore Boba Fett
what
fan,
happened?
Well, he didn't die.
He didn't die. Now we know that, right?
Oh my gosh.
But we didn't know, right?
Nobody knew. Yeah.
So that poisoned.
I remember at school one day, somebody was like, hey, you know, in the books. I'm like, there's books? He's like, yeah, he's alive in the books. He got out of the Sarlacc pit. I was like, sir,
dude,
I want to kiss you.
Yeah. Like, talk about changing. Actually, I want to make a note of the books because that's something that I meant to talk about. We didn't write down, right? Yeah. That was, talk about like eye-opening, you know? I remember as a kid wanting to consume
when you
more
discover
Star Wars.
That expanded universe, it is just,
because that was
waters are deep.
Tales from Jabba's Palace was where he got out of the Sarlacc pit.
Would you say that's your favorite book and the whole, out of the ones you've read?
Man, that's a good question. I actually really liked the Jedi Academy trilogy. But the one bone I have to pick is that I got really tired of them. The authors would constantly have to handicap Luke in some way. That very rapidly developed. Like one book I read, he literally broke his leg in the beginning of the book. And he spent the whole book healing it with the Force while fighting people. And that's why he couldn't fight very well. I was like, that's a little too obvious. But I like Jedi Academy because the Jedi Academy trilogy because he's refounding the Jedi Order, and then he's facing what I thought was a realistic like next level of bad guy, which was like this. Don't crucify me on it, but if I remember right, it was really negative presence on the temple that he was trying to set up, right? Okay. And he had to like overcome this very powerful negative Force energy, and that kind of made sense to me. I really enjoyed that, and you see the next generation of Jedi getting founded.
Gosh. Well, you know, for me when I was growing up, like. My earliest memories with Star Wars are always going to be like those TBS or TBN, not TBN, TBS or TNT would always show like 3 nights where they would just show the original trilogy. Yeah. So in my brain, I actually even like have very nostalgic feelings to the intro and outro like cuts they would do to it.
Oh my goodness! Well, I was going to say too, isn't it funny how sometimes something being on television makes it more special? Oh yeah. Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
We just like the grass is always greener and like it's different now.
Sometimes my grandmother will call me and she'll be like, "Hey, this movie's going to be on TV." I'm like, "Oh, I need to watch it," and like I own it. I even own it. You know,
it's different.
It's
I don't
weird.
know what it is, but I mean, it's all about at the end of the day. I think that's what makes Star Wars so special. Is like you can capture that special feeling in so many different ways.
It feels like a different time.
It does. You know? This is going to be a Goosebumps. This is going to be a feels podcast of Goose Pimples because I got that just now, just talking about how you feel about the trilogy. You know?
Yeah. Well, for me, my favorite movie is going to be Empire Strikes Back. I mean, you're in Hoth. You know, there's everything. Just everything all of it together. It's so good.
I'm a huge Muppets fan. Yeah. And Frank Oz being involved with Episode 5 in that way. Yeah. When working, the Jim Henson Studios working their magic, right? Yeah.
I mean, just that stage design for Dagobah was just pretty mesmerizing. And, I mean, and kind of touching a little bit, spoiler alert, on what we're going to talk about with The Mandalorian, is how they do incorporate kind of the practical effects.
I was actually, our streams are crossing in a good way.
Don't cross the stream.
I know, because I was thinking the exact same thing. Constantly, I would look at my wife while watching this, and seeing Grogu, right? Spoiler. Yeah. While seeing like Baby Yoda, seeing Grogu, and every scene when he's the cutest, the most interactive, it's animatronics.
Oh yeah.
Every time, it's practical effects, man.
And you know, like they very rarely use CG with Grogu, and I'm going to be putting a spoiler alert at the beginning of the episode. Just
so we're past that now. If you're here, you should have skipped the ads.
Man, you should have seen it all at this point.
Yeah, you should have seen the sponsored content.
But there's something about just seeing the puppet on the screen. You know, I mean, even the finale to season 2. Where, you know, just the simple, like, puppet touching, when Grogu touches the Mando's face, you know, there's something that practical effects and the puppetry bring to it that kind of almost throw you back in time to, like, for me, the early 90s when I first saw the series.
Yeah, absolutely.
To where you just feel like you're watching it on TNT or, TBS again. And it's just hard to recreate because, like, the CG and stuff is phenomenal. The Crate Dragon, that opening to season 2 was just jaw-dropping effects. And, but I do love the fact that, Favreau and Dave Filoni are more than okay and almost seem to prefer using practical effects whenever they're able to.
Yes, so. I completely agree with that. I think they do an excellent job. And I wanted to talk about how our brain receives practical effects better. Yeah. And there's some sort of very scientific term, which maybe you can look up and put graphic on screen. I forget what it is, but how we react primally to when we see things that we recognize as fake, and it's CGI is what we react to more. Right. And we see that, we feel uncomfortable with that, So, they did. It's so good, good. We got to move on. Before
we go down into the rabbit hole that is the Mandalorian. Yeah. I do want to talk about, because you are very much into tabletop games and other type. What's your favorite Star Wars board game?
So there's a lot of really good ones out there. I'll start by saying that right now.
Let's find
out. My favorite by far, because I do get sucked into the collectivism, the collections. So a little bit of that Warhammer 40K. You better watch out. But I'm not so much that, because the Warhammer piece of puzzle in my heart is occupied by X-Wing.
Oh,
and
man.
X-Wing is
I think you showed me this.
Yes,
once.
We've seen it once before. I remember I just showed you literally a million pieces, and you're like, well, "This is a lot of stuff."
Yeah. This is beautiful.
It's awesome. The miniatures are perfect. Yeah. They come pre-painted. I mean, they're gorgeous.
I have so much respect for people who have that kind of gift to be able to paint detailed.
I wish I was that person.
Oh man,
how much I wish.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But for somebody like me who has zero artistic.
Yeah, and I'm a critical casual, right? Yeah. So I'm one of those guys who man, I really want to paint this, but I'm not going to. Right, so I would rather have. That's what I like about X-Wing. They come completely finished. That being said, they're paintable. So people will do. I saw one guy did a Millennium Falcon with a Leia and the slave costume pinup on the side. It was like a 1/100th scale. No. He had done with a magnifying glass and a micro paintbrush. Yeah, it was gorgeous. So
that's
insane
amazing.
Commitment stuff
that
too.
Is amazing.
So it's an awesome game. It's a point-based. Anyone who plays any army builder game will be familiar with it. Okay. But you build a squad of anywhere between 2 to 6 ships. You use your points. You have a point system allocated to you.
Okay.
You use all of it, and then you go out and fight. It's got a very intuitive turn-based system. What's really cool is you actually have a 3x3 mat which you play on.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And then you maneuver. So it's a maneuvering game. Really cool. A bit of chess, a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable, but it is not for the faint of heart. It takes a while to get into, and once you're in, man, it's a deep rabbit hole to fall down. Dude. So
that's good, because I always appreciate, kind of just touching on game design. Mm-hmm. I always appreciate the games that are approachable but have extreme depth to where if you're a min-maxer, so to speak,
absolutely.
To where you can give your brain room to grow and do some mental gymnastics.
Yeah, so. That high skill ceiling, but you want that low entry point, right? And that's that huge wiggle room in between. It's fantastic.
So that's your favorite board game, but what is your favorite video game?
Man, so I think
for Star Wars.
Yes, for Star Wars, right? Yeah. Which is still which kid, right? Which kid do you throw the Jaguars, right? So so my most formative, I have to pick two. Yeah. If there was a puzzle based off that, but so my most formative would have to be Jedi Power Battles PS1, also on the Dreamcast, I think. Dude. So that old, right?
Yeah.
So Jedi Power Battles, great. That's where I fell in love with my boy Mace Windu. Dude, throwing the combos out.
Samuel Jackson, man.
He can't be beat.
Dude.
He's alive. I know it, right? If Boba Fett's alive,
there's no shark in space gonna eat this man.
Dude, no, absolutely no snake on no spaceship that's gonna catch him, right? So I think he's always my favorite. That was a really good game. As far as favorite game though, man, probably I'd have to go with something like Knights of the Republic, or I also really like Old Republic, the MMO.
Oh, yeah.
I was a big fan of Old Republic.
I liked it back in the day. You know why? You can play as a bounty hunter tank.
Yeah,
okay,
dude. Yeah,
two of my favorite things in the entire universe.
I know, and
together.
I thought that they did an excellent job. And let's diverge a bit here. I love that they had like ranged tanks. I thought that was a really cool concept.
Yeah, and I've kind of waited for that to become more of a thing in games. But it was a good game, and I haven't played it in years. But
Same.
I heard it had a really nasty pay
to win.
Yeah.
Or at least the microtransactions.
I heard it was kind of rough. But
it was BioWare who had some misses
Any
lately.
fans out there who still play it, you know what? Kudos to you. Awesome. I mean, literally the morality system in it, I loved it.
I did too.
The races were all done really well.
Yeah, the instances were fairly good. It was once again critical casual, right? That's like that should be my subtitle here.
Yeah.
But it was good for me. I could log on, jump in the queue, right, and find some people to play with. And it's Star Wars, right? So, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a Jedi blasting people to pieces. I like the healer role, and being a Jedi healer, I thought was just awesome.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, my favorite Star Wars video games, obviously Knights of the Old Republic, 1 and 2. Yep. I like 2 as well.
Me too.
And I know it heavily borrowed off the first one, but I loved it.
Yep.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter, I really
I totally forgot that one.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that one.
And we were talking about this before. I kind of found like, I don't know if I'm in the minority or not, but a lot of people hate that game.
Which is there a reason though?
And I'm trying to remember because again, I am like a Boba Fett, Jango Fett mega fan. So like for me, I was, you're tying people up. You got flamethrowers, jetpacks. Like what's not?
You had the poison darts. You remember they introduced that?
Right.
The one-hit kill poison darts. Those were a currency, dude.
Man, they were so good.
Yeah, and most importantly though, I felt like I was flying in a jetpack, dodging lasers.
Yeah, you're using your headset to like scan for targets. Like, I don't know. Like, I enjoyed it, back in the day. And
me too.
Yeah,
me too.
But I really love that. Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire was really good.
Yep, Dash Rendar. Yeah, OG.
Oh my gosh. And we'll talk a little bit more about him later. Mm-hmm. But and then lastly, I just kind of want to mention Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo.
Oh my god!
Honestly, that was the first game because I'll play games like from FromSoft, the Dark Souls people.
Yeah.
So I do like challenges in the game. I've mentioned SMT Nocturne in the past. Mm-hmm. Super Star Wars is a brutally difficult game.
So which one is? Which game is that?
That's the one that kind of it's like a snapshot of. I think there's a couple, but like you play through like as Luke, Chewie, Han.
Really?
And it is disgustingly difficult.
Really?
At least for a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Like,
excellent. All things scaling, right?
You know I mean, in my mind, it is like the Souls game of the Super Nintendo.
Dude, I actually had never heard of that, and that reminded me too. So my first Star Wars games were actually Episode 5 and 6 for the Super Nintendo. So they had those as well too.
Yeah.
And those are pretty solid. I had 4, 5, and 6. And I hated Episode 4 because you started as Luke and you didn't have a lightsaber. So it was like a lame.
Oh, yeah.
That was the worst. But you get it eventually on Tatooine, so that was pretty dope. But those are all pretty solid too.
Yeah.
Kind of the platforming aspect, a little bit of that Mega Man shooter style to them. You know?
I like that's. I think that's what I'm remembering. Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Yeah.
But like I thought that's what I was thinking of. But like I remember them being very difficult. But
I was not good at them. I can tell you that.
Yeah. But so special shout out to those. But like I do really like the old Rogue. Oh my gosh, I'm
Which ones?
blanking.
Hang on. What are they?
It's a flying shooter
Paint me a
where you
picture.
play as X-Wing.
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron
I played
Classics.
on the PC.
Okay.
If I remember right.
Yep.
And I really had fun with those.
Those were solid, man. I remember when they put the Naboo Starfighter in Rogue Squadron.
Oh, man.
That was pretty dope. I really liked that.
But, so those are really good, but awesome choices, though.
Yeah.
So, to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode.
This is it.
The Mandalorian. Yeah.
Mouth noises.
As we're approaching The Mandalorian, can you kind of remember where you were at in your fandom of Star Wars heading into the season 1 of The Mandalorian?
Yeah. So, this was 2019, and I had seen episode 9 the year before, right? And so I was kind of taking a break from Star Wars, honestly. It wasn't that it's nothing so dramatic, right?
Right,
So it's
right.
not me a surprise. Maybe you could
Right.
tell from my tone here. I was not a huge fan of the Skywalker trilogy. I liked Episode 7. I
Right.
thought it was fine.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yep, and
it was fun.
by the time we got into 9, though, I was just kind of ready to have closure, and I got
Right,
that.
right.
So I had heard that for the next trilogy, they were scouting out directors, and they wanted to move away from the Skywalker trilogy. They wanted to get away
Yeah.
from the galaxy far, far
Right,
away, move
right.
on to a far, far, farther away, maybe. And I'm fine with that because
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like the sandbox of Star Wars, man, is massive. The Force
Right.
is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And to be the nerdiest nerd, I was kind of excited by that.
Right.
To see maybe what Jedi would look like if
Right.
they were some far removed
Oh, okay.
cousin, you
Oh,
know?
okay, yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that. And so I was kind of ambivalent.
Right.
And dude, enter the trailer, man.
Oh my gosh.
And-
the
and it was-
Mandalorian trailer.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was perfect. And I
Right.
was coming back on. I got back from my deployment last year, so I was like, it was kind of this just magical cocktails of like feels, right? It's like I
Right.
was coming home, I was seeing family, I was gonna see my wife and kids again. I had seen them, we kind of been reunited, and then start hearing about new movies, Disney
Right,
Plus.
right.
Disney Plus is coming out, and they drop a trailer for The Mandalorian, and
Man.
dude.
Oh, it was so good.
I'll pass it off to you. Impressions on the trailer, right?
Well, for me, I enjoyed episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I had fun with it. Episode 8 really just kind of threw a bucket of the water
Yeah.
on it for me. And to be honest, it took me a long time to go and to watch 9. I watched 9 on Disney Plus just because I was just kind of
So
over it.
after you had seen Mandalorian,
I
after
watched season 1 of The Mandalorian and like I felt like a kid again. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll watch episode 9.
I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, I was like, whatever.
Whatever, my
You
heart
know,
can take it.
Heck, let's roll up the sleeves. Let's
Yeah,
do
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So, and I watched them with my wife, and she was like, I liked them. So I was like, okay, the Skywalker trilogy definitely appealed to, she knew nothing of Star Wars.
Which
And I was like-
matters,
yeah, I was
right?
like,
Which
okay,
matters.
I get it. Like, people enjoy it. There's some people who think episode 8 is their favorite. For me, and I'm not trolling, but episode 8 is legitimately my least favorite Star Wars film. Or
agree.
anything Star Wars.
And I think the juxtaposition, my defense for that isn't for anyone who says I'm a naysayer or a
Right,
a Grinch
right.
character about that.
Right.
I love 7. I thought 7 was good, man.
7 was a great
Like you said,
movie.
we talked about. I think we watched the trailer earlier.
Yeah.
And I think it shows Poe Dameron, and it was Disney has this trailer out now for like all of the Star Wars
Yeah.
stuff on Disney Plus,
Yeah,
right?
It's really good.
And it's good. And
Yeah.
and Poe Dameron asked, and it's episode 7. He asks Han Solo. He's like, "How did you do it? It was you guys against the galaxy." And he's like, "We had each other." And some of those lines from that movie are
Yeah.
very poignant.
Yeah.
The feels
They're
come right
iconic.
back, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, when
So-
Han and Chewie get on the Falcon and they're like, we're home.
We're home,
It-
dude.
it's-
Yeah, I have
it
goose
hits
pimples
you. Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
Zoom in
it's-
on this. You know what I mean? Like, it's good.
It is good.
So it was a sharp left, an
Yeah.
unenjoyable left turn for me.
Yeah.
To 8.
Well, it was my biggest beef with 8, and we don't have to beat this dead horse forever.
Yeah.
But for me with 8, it felt like a character assassination of people you have loved and cared about
Yeah.
for decades.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Luke, everything they did with Luke in 8, I did not like it
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So it kind of just huge morale check with
Yeah.
my passion for Star Wars.
Yep.
And then Mandalorian comes out, and I see that trailer, and immediately I'm like, this was for me.
Yeah.
I felt like Favreau and Filoni were like, hey, we felt it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on back.
Yeah.
And so for me, when Mando walks into that diner, I mean the bar, right off the bat, and you hear that gorgeous soundtrack.
Yeah.
That theme, it just it like, that recorder that they made it with.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
woke up the 12-year-old me.
Yeah,
I was just
absolutely,
like,
man.
I was back. And so for me, season 1 of The Mandalorian immediately clinched Star Wars again, and it reminded me of before the buyout and stuff like that, this glorious sandbox, this glorious extended universe. It just felt alive again.
Yeah.
And the use of practical effects and stuff like that, it felt right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of reminded me, at the beginning of episode 5, with Hoth, and you see, the huge battle taking place in the incredible miniatures. Just the use with like Baby Yoda and or Grogu. It just felt amazing. And anytime they could, like even with Ahsoka, her practical effects. They didn't CG that in.
No, they didn't.
It's right.
And
it just feels right.
It's seamless. It's gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
And it takes you right there.
Yeah.
And I think like, I'm not an iconoclast, right? Like, I don't think that everything needs to be torn down.
Right.
I'm not, like, against anything for the sake of it, right? But I think one of the things that captured Mandalorian for me so much is that Favreau and Filoni, they simultaneously went for a new, fresh breath on Star Wars, right? Yeah. With the genres.
Yes.
Because there's a guy I like that I listened to some of his stuff, his podcasts and stuff, and he's not a Star Wars guy, but he likes Westerns, right? And he was sucked in. He's like, it's a Western in Star Wars, and I'm in.
It feels like the man with no name.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the same time, they go over and they hit all these blocks that you and I are talking about that, like, they clearly understand that you can be different or adaptive or appeal to new people, but still remember that what made Star Wars so good. And it wasn't the cutting edge CGI of Jar Jar Binks, right? That's not like...
Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean...
Come for the Force, stay for the Binks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what people want.
It's so true.
Give the people what they want. So, talking about, like, the practical effects like that, going back to Grogu, just how gorgeous he looked, how human...
Yeah.
Sorry, it sounds a little bit human, right? How human he looked in a lot of the scenes. It was just so great.
Yeah, I mean, the second that little pod opens up and you see that face...
Dude.
The internet lost their collective minds.
Yeah, man.
And kind of, just those practical effects with Baby Yoda.
Baby Grogu.
Baby Grogu.
Spoilers. All right, he's got a name.
Yeah, seriously. But it just kind of taps into it. And, in kind of watching the discussions with Favreau and Filoni, they really talked about what made Star Wars Star Wars. And I think that's why The Mandalorian just clinched all those hardcore fans and new fans.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, and really... The Mandalorian is proof that you can entertain new fans and thoroughly please the old school fans.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate is that everyone can enjoy it.
Yes.
And with it, Lucas, when he was making Star Wars, really focused heavily on kind of legends and mythos and stuff that kind of binds all societies together. And
humanity together, storytelling.
Just so that hero's journey that kind of translates to all cultures. And really with Lucas doing that, Favreau and Filoni knew that was a key element of it and that it was about family and just the father-son relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Between Mando and Grogu is... I mean, it clinches you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just perfect.
Full disclosure, we're both dads, right? So, like, I get it. We have more buy-in maybe than someone who doesn't have kids, right? But I think that there's a universal humanitarian like appeal to their relationship, and then like you said before too, right? Star Wars is a story of family.
Yeah.
And anytime you see that, it works well. Like thinking back to 1, 2, and 3, the relationship of Obi-Wan. Mentoring, fathering, loving Anakin, right?
Oh my gosh.
That was the high point of that. The heartbreak in scene episode 3, like, and you talk about, of course, Luke and Darth Vader, and then you've got Grogu and Mando. And I'm talking Mandalorian multiverse, baby. That's the new focal point for me.
Yeah, and it really is, and it's something for us to kind of cling to.
Yeah.
And what I'm really so hyped about is just all these characters experience an arc of some sort.
Sure.
From the moment you meet Mando in the bar to where, he's taking off his helmet to say goodbye to Grogu.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a journey there, and that hero's journey. And kind of to touch on Mando's character a little bit more, what I love is that, he doesn't always feel like he's, even though there are some episodes where he has like godlike type fighting skills, is that he is in danger a lot. Like he needs his friends.
Yeah.
He needs, at times he needs Bo-Katan or sometimes Cara Dune.
Yes, excellent.
Yes,
dude, two thumbs up. And
oh
Carl Weathers,
bringing it. Who saw that director?
I know, man.
One of my favorite episodes.
Could you imagine if someone was like, "Hey, the Predator? We're going to have one of those buff guys.
Oh, my God.
We're going to have one of those sweaty buff guys come in, and Dylan's going to make a Star Wars
could you imagine Dylan and Mando just locking?
Yeah, just locking a nice oiled biceps.
Gosh, dude.
The internet would break if that happened, right? So you see that taking place,
oh,
right?
Man,
talk about Favreau bringing in those directors, you
Yeah.
know, Carl Weathers appearing and him going to them and asking
Yeah.
for help and stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Him having the gang to fall back on.
Yes.
Having that relative position of bad guys, you know.
And it's pretty fascinating to me because when you find out that there was multiple directors for The Mandalorian, I have to really show like Favreau and the respect in that he is willing to empower creators. That he puts you know, boundaries in some way, but he really gives freedom to the directors to kind of portray and bring their vision to it. But it all feels the same. It does. You wouldn't know someone different directed most episodes.
Yeah,
I feel like.
and I made a note because I didn't want to. We're bouncing so much, I didn't want to forget.
Oh, right,
So talk about favorite episodes, right? And you bring up a segue into my favorite episode is that that horror-like episode of The Prison Break, right? And talk about strengths of directors.
With Mayfield.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
When they introduced Mayfield.
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, dude. Where they introduce Mr.
Devil
Krabs.
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, dude. So where they introduce that director, and I don't remember who directed that episode, but you have a distinct flavor. It's it's like what's your favorite chocolate, right? You got chocolate silk, you got dark chocolate, you got milk chocolate, right? And while cocoa's always there, you can have an Andy's candy. You know what I mean?
It felt like a heist movie.
Yes.
It was just that motif was beautifully done.
And I love seeing Mando be the horror figure. So you go from talking about perspective of bad guys, right? We see him struggle against like a dark trooper.
Yes.
But in that episode, they posture and all the bad guys are like trying to talk about how he's nothing. And in the end, dude, he comes for Mayfield.
He takes it on the helmet, man. The whole episode,
dude.
and then at the end, when you see him, you know, in the light, popping back and forth. It was so good.
So well done. And so you talk about the director's strength.
Yeah.
Was clearly different from Favreau or Filoni.
Very true.
But
Very true.
like you said, it was still Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And it still felt like Mando. It still
so
tasted like chocolate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and it was just very well done. And the practical effects, but also when they do use CG, it is shockingly good.
Very good.
It's really well done. But so that's your favorite episode.
That's your favorite, and yours I could guess, but why don't you describe it?
Well, it has somebody. It has another Mandalorian.
It has a Kiwi in it.
Yes, it is absolutely without question Boba Fett coming back and donning the glorious suit.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll be honest. That whole episode started off on the right foot. You know, they're getting to Typhon, and then you see the slave one come in. I was out of my chair immediately when I saw that slave one coming in.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it was so
Talk
good.
about iconic.
Yeah,
right?
It really was. It really was. And like, you know, so my wife and people watching it, they were kind of like, "Oh, what's this?" I'm like,
"Yeah, you don't.
That's the slave one.
You don't understand."
Man, but you know, and honestly, it was so well done in the music design and that to where, you know, when he finally dons the suit, that hype and build up, and then you just hear that guttural just crescendo of music, and then he starts beating the crap out of everybody.
He takes those stormtroopers to the cleaners.
Oh, he does. Dude.
And it makes me feel. I usually feel a little bad for stormtroopers. I felt really bad for those stormtroopers, man.
Like when he's like shattering helmets.
Oh, that was before his armor was on.
That's true.
That was so. Talk about like perspective. There.
That dude's gonna be drinking through a straw, eating through a straw the rest of his life.
Yeah, man. So that was just quality, man. And you had like the combination of once again of moving, I guess the legacy forward and still appealing. Talk about eating your cake and having it too, right?
Yeah.
Because that was said backwards. I said it right. So you get to do both. You have people who are classic fans, and people who didn't know who Boba Fett was still enjoyed him. Oh man, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought it was classic. I thought it was quality, man. So
well,
good.
and you know, even like bringing him back, the writing's really done because you don't know if anyone's safe. You know?
Yeah.
Because like I was worried they brought back Boba Fett just to kill him in front of me again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm going back 3 decades.
I've
back
been
in
cucked once. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you've burned me once. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, it was just kind of like everything good about Star Wars that you loved. And you know, because fans, like for me, I had almost built this mythos of what Boba Fett was probably like in my brain. And then you start getting into the extended universe, and you're like, yeah, he's really cool and hardcore. And then you see his honor shine through in The Mandalorian, to where, you know, he's like, hey, you gave me I got my suit back. I'm going to help you get baby Grogu back.
Yeah.
It was just so well done. And it feels like the writing is done with respect for the content.
I think so.
You know?
The gravitas of the characters developed, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird juxtaposition because he has, we talked about this before too, he has like no on-screen time right before this.
Right. Literally. Yeah. Maybe like 3 or 4 lines throughout the entire series.
Yeah, so talk about such a legendary character to have developed through cult fame.
Literally, yeah.
Is insane. I mean, it's awesome too to see. Do you want to when do you want to talk Book of Fett?
Oh, I think now's a good time. But just real quick before that.
Yeah.
We had kind of mentioned this before, but I feel like kind of one of my biggest gripes with Episode 8 is that, and it's kind of my gripe with Game of Thrones and also The Walking Dead. Obviously, all of these shows are great. They wouldn't be so wildly successful if they weren't somewhat entertaining.
Yes.
But for me personally, I feel like there has been this trend of trying to subvert expectations to where people just end up subverting a good story.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times you end up betraying characters and kind of their motivations in the name of just surprising everybody.
Right. A gotcha moment, right?
Yeah, and kind of like in talking about the climax to season 2, we kind of almost expected a bait and switch because I feel because like when Luke gets out, like in my mind I was like Mace Windu, this or that, and we can talk about that more here in a second, but I have to just really credit the writers in Filoni for the Mandalorian story in that it feels right. I'm definitely shocked at times, surprised, but it all stays true to the source material.
And that's one of the reasons why I was expecting the bait and switch so much. Not that I would have even been upset, right? Because we've talked a little bit before, too, about the revitalization, the reviving of Expanded Universe, right?
Yeah.
And I was expecting to see maybe a minor character, maybe someone from Rebels, maybe someone...
a Dash Rendar, somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Something like a Force sensitive, maybe.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like you said, it stays true to that a Jedi Master would hear that call and respond to it. And then... And also time-wise...
I was really hoping it was Mace Windu, but don't get me wrong. Blew my mind. I was like, don't get your hopes up too high. It could be Mace Windu.
Which would have been dope.
Because
he had... Was it his... do you remember which arm was cut off the top of your head?
It was the one with the lightsaber. His right hand.
Yeah, so he probably was right-handed because, right-handed people, I guess.
Luke
the weaker race. Yeah. No, but anyway, I was expecting Luke... And it made the most sense, right? So when it actually wasn't, I remember nerding out to my wife, and I saw the glove, and I saw the outfit, I saw the hilt, and everything checked the blocks, right?
Yeah.
And that could have been a cheap gotcha moment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, because what made the most sense, sometimes we get back to, like, the story will tell itself. Yes. It will play out a certain way. Occam's razor we should dictate some things, and it was Luke, and I thought that was solid.
Yeah. And honestly, it was, The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 felt like you were seeing old friends again.
Yeah.
That you'd never really met.
Yeah.
But going to Tatooine and all these places, the
Outer Rim in general, right? That's comfy.
It was so good. Yeah. Like Carl Weathers' episode is easily, I would say, top 3 of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
But his episode really felt like you were watching a Star Wars movie in particular. But it just kind of felt like, when Luke showed up there at the end, you felt like you hadn't seen... I felt like I haven't seen Luke since Episode 6 ended. I mean, obviously we had Episode 8, but that never felt like Luke.
So,
you know what I mean?
You bring up an interesting point, too. Something that I don't want to talk over too much because we can talk about it all the time, right?
Yeah,
people... I would be very interested to talk to someone who really liked Episode 8 and ask them if they actually saw what Luke was capable of and understood his mythos.
Yeah.
Who thought that he went out appropriately, right, when he died in Episode 8?
Right.
Because that's one of my biggest gripes, is that we saw the most powerful Jedi of our time have a Force heart attack and die. And what I saw in Mandalorian Season 2 That is how I wanted Luke Skywalker.
That's how like he was. He's been here for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I expected I would have been fine. I liked that they killed Luke. I thought it made sense.
I was okay. Like
Yep.
I was okay that Han died.
Yep.
And, I mean, not that I was happy to see him die,
Yeah.
but it felt like
you have to pass the torch.
yes,
Right. You have to
I get
move
it.
on.
And I was okay that Luke passed as
Yep.
well. I was not okay with how we got there.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So when we see that in Mandalorian season 2 in that finale, right, and we see that once again that perspective of what a Jedi is capable of, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I think even there, it was like Favreau and Filoni gave us a wink and a nod of like, I see what we should have gotten, right?
Yeah. Right.
And that was what it was, man. And it was
sure.
it was just solid. It was good.
Yeah, all around. Now, with the ending of season 2, where do you think we go from here?
Oh,
like
man.
with the Mandalorian.
We're wild conjecture.
Oh, let's go there.
I don't know
Get
much,
the
but I'll
tinfoil hats out.
wildly conjecture
Yeah,
about it. So if
right.
I had to guess, so we've got Mando, he's got the Darksaber. You
Yes.
know, we've got Bo-Katan,
Very
righteously
not happy.
frustrated.
Not happy. That woman
Yeah.
is PO'd.
Yeah. She's been left alone on a date for too long.
Yeah,
right? So
she is not happy.
I think I see that tension. That's obviously going to build.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to try and kill him or not. But if I had to guess, I would see Mando, because we've seen him develop from. So I also guessed at this. I think that we saw Mando at the seniors foundling stage of season 1 beginning, where he just
Right.
had the helmet.
Right.
And we see him graduate into having his own signet, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and now that he's completed a quest, which I think will probably earn him some sort of fame.
Right.
I think he's going to get drawn into Mandalorian politics.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And then I think you mentioned this. Retaking Mandalore might be on there.
I think
which I
definitely.
didn't think of that. That's you. So
Yeah.
I'll let you talk on that. But I think that Grogu might be out of the picture for a while, and I think that he will be maybe the either cliffhanger or maybe the plot twist for season 4,
Right.
3. Excuse me, season 3.
And we kind of mentioned this, like how the Book of Fett's coming out this time
Yeah.
next year. And to my knowledge, I want to say I heard an interview with Favreau where season 3 of Mandalorian will air after Book of Fett runs. So it almost makes it think that there might be a time jump. I'm thinking the big arcs will be obviously the Darksaber and Bo-Katan. That is like an unstoppable force and an immovable
Yes.
object about
Yeah.
to collide.
Yeah.
So I definitely see sparks flying there. Mandalore, I think, is going to be a big thing. And also, Mando has de-helmeted
oh my gosh,
himself.
man. Talk about burying the lead.
Oh
I
my
forgot
gosh.
about that, dude.
Yeah, so super awesome armorer.
Yes,
please forgive
the
me.
armorer.
I cannot remember her name if she had one.
I thought she was just the armorer.
I thought she was too.
Yeah.
But that's a big no-no. And,
Because
you know,
we also haven't talked about this yet. The idea of like, so who's the weirdo?
yes.
Is it Mando or is it Bo-Katan?
Right.
We don't know.
Right. Like, is it the Death Watch or is it Mandalore?
Yeah.
Mandalore, like true Mandalorian.
Exactly. So the Death Watch coming for him is they're gonna have
Yes.
something to say about
They're
that.
going to be pretty peeved. And I know they're in hiding right now, but there could very well be Mando having to fight whether it's Bo-Katan or
Yeah.
Bo-Katan and the Death Watch.
Yeah.
He's kind of in this trifecta of not people's
Yep,
fave.
that lover's triangle right there, because he caught between a rock and a hard place. It actually is two
Not the-
women as well.
Yeah. Not the train you want to be in.
No, it is not. And I think he's going to be forced to choose.
Yes.
He might have already been forced to choose.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what that happens. That's a really,
Yeah.
really good point.
I think that's definitely going to be a thing. Obviously, Moff Gideon's not dead.
Oh, that's another thing too. He's a cockroach at this point,
Yeah,
man.
seriously.
He's gonna come back and he's like, "What's that plot twist?" So he'll come back for something.
I mean, to be fair though, that Giancarlo, I hope I'm saying that right, is a phenomenal actor.
He is, and he's a good villain.
He is a superb villain.
When he played the mastermind card there at the season finale, and he named all of the aspects of their plan.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that might have just been like closed camera like footage that he
Yeah.
saw, but still, it was like
Yeah, it was-
the awareness as a mastermind was good.
Yes.
Really good.
Very
I love that, like, in retrospect, he totally made Mando take his Darksaber from him.
Yes.
That was also pretty good
man,
too.
that was
like,
top notch.
Oops.
Oopsie.
It's his now.
Well, you can have it. It doesn't
If you
work that
kill
way.
him. Yeah, that was dope. That was really, really good.
Yeah, very.
Moving on to that. Sorry,
Yeah.
you want to go to the next
No,
thing?
I do, yeah. Before we kind of wrap up today, I do want to talk. If there were to be a Mandalorian video game,
Yeah.
what would be your iconic design to it.
So I've got a pitch, and I actually think it makes a decent amount of sense.
Oh, pitch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pitch it. So I am a huge fan of tactics games. So I'm a huge fan of like Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Advance.
Yeah.
Also XCOM, Enemy Unknown,
Oh
like
my
those.
gosh.
Also Mario Rabbids Kingdom.
Right.
Which on Switch, if you haven't played that, it's like XCOM
kind of like
with
Valkyria Chronicles.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would say actually that a tactical the Mandalorian game, I think would be with cover-based shooting.
Good. Yeah.
I think that would be solid. Because you could have the sharpshooters, you could have you'd have your Cara Dunes as the bruiser, right?
Yes.
You'd have Fennec Shan as your sniper class like that.
Yeah.
And maybe you build your squad out, or it's even just like static characters that you develop in an RPG format.
I think that's great.
I'm an RPG fan too, so like FFTA, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Final Fantasy Tactics, those are some really strong choices for me. And then what I'd also love to see too is like maybe be able to change Mando's class. Like dude, I know.
I love it.
Like go from that.
I'm there.
Because I see him as like a utilitarian right now.
Yeah.
And being able to, I love that beefy bruiser that he gets into a knife fight with in the episode too.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I would say. Pitch in a nutshell, right?
Now, for me, I feel bad because my favorite games of all time are mostly turn-based RPGs.
Me too. Yeah.
But I'm going to betray that a little bit right now.
Go for it,
and
dude.
I'm leaning more into action RPG. But I'm thinking more like Nier Automata, where it could be a genre class matchup. Yeah. To where you could have some space shooting going on, maybe some spaceship customization. You know, if we were to per se pick it up here at the end of season 2, you know, Mando's alone, which sucks, but you know, everybody's okay. But so you would just have him. You would be acquiring a ship again, building the ship, have some aerial combat, but then also have some action RPG elements where, you know, you do have the shooting. He did have the amazing phase rifle. Is that
it's some sort of
please forgive me.
It's some sort of disintegration rifle, right? But it's bad.
From the Christmas special where he's like stabbing the dinosaur. It's so cool. But you could have that. You know, you could spec into it and. Also, obviously, you could have the action of hand-to-hand combat. You know, you have medium range firing with the pistol blaster. And then, obviously, you can customize your jetpack and all this. That's kind of what I'm thinking now. Yeah. And then I am not. Confession: I'm not someone who's been typically a major into like the Grand Theft Auto series. Yeah. But I'm almost thinking kind of like a semi-open world like that to where you could kind of have this giant sandbox to play in. Yeah. But
that would be very tempting, man. Yeah. Or something like, could you imagine if they did like a Mandalorian with like No Man's Sky, like procedurally generated worlds?
Man.
Dude, now we're really
now
spitballing.
We're talking.
Yeah, dude. Now we're spitballing now.
Now.
I mean, because look what No Man's Sky, what Hello Games have come from.
The vision they had, and they went for it. Yeah. And you know, they messed up at the beginning, but they did what they should have done and came back.
Patches now,
I hear it's amazing.
I've probably put about 100 hours into it, which is nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Scratching the surface.
But I've played, I usually come back for each patch, man, and it's solid. Yeah. It's really good.
That's what I hear. I hear it's phenomenally good.
Seeing something like that with Star Wars, man.
Oh, yeah, it'd be so good.
I think it'd be solid.
Now, don't get me wrong. Now that you say a tactical role playing,
dude, could you imagine? Yeah, using the cover system.
Man, yeah, very good. Okay, this is a rabbit trail right here. But when you said the cover system, it reminded me of Mass Effect. However, one of my favorite Star Wars books, the Darth Bane series, really good. It was written by the Mass Effect writer.
Really?
Yeah, he was heavily. I'm pretty sure he was heavily involved in the first Mass Effect and kind of writing.
That one's so good, man. So good.
The story in Mass Effect 1 is amazing. You know, the combat did not age
very well.
But
it was good for the time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, we just got to rein it in, and we're going to have to do this again in the
All
future.
good things must end for now, right?
We have so many more Star Wars things that we can talk about. Good Lord. We talked for probably like 2-3 hours.
So we did this last night.
Yes, last night.
And then your wife was like, you guys should have done this on video.
Get this on camera.
And we were like, we can do that again, don't worry.
For
sure. This is my favorite stuff. I love talking Star Wars with you, man.
And we're definitely going to have you back on, especially to talk about The Bad Batch and all these incredible extended shows coming out.
Man.
But where can people follow you at?
Yeah, so right now, like I said, Critical Casual, but you can follow me on Twitch. That's generally what I stream. If I stream, it's going to be
And
there.
I'm going to put Vincalis' link to Twitch in the description, so definitely have to check him out. Thank you so much for being on.
Dude, my pleasure, man. Absolutely. This has been a gorgeous conversation, and let's do it again.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast. We hope you had fun too, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.